And as I mentioned, now it's the time to take a look at the results from the CEACOG around this new profession, which is the facilitator. And to do so, we're going to have Lourdes Martin. She's going to be in charge of moderating this roundtable and introducing all those who are going to be involved in this roundtable. Welcome, Lourdes. She's part of the CEACOG group in Valencia. She's a lawyer who specializes in disabilities, and she works in the Plan de Recuperación Foundation in Valencia. And besides that, Lourdes has coordinated the facilitator service in Justice City in Valencia, and right now she's coordinating the CEACOG facilitator program in this geography as well. Thank you very much. Well, we're going to start with all the things we've walked on in this course. The first roundtable is going to deal with the first course for facilitators. I'd like to introduce you to the people who are going to be with us. First of all, we're going to have Laura Mendez Ceballos. She's the Vice Dean of Practicum and International Relations of the University of UNED. Inés de Araoz, she's the coordinator of the legal area of Plan de Inclusión. She's the coordinator of the facilitator project at CEACOG, and she's the co-director of the CEACOG course. Third, we've got Iris de la Fuente. She's a student of this training course, and she works in the support of people with disabilities. And last, Andrés Sotoca, he works at the police, at the Guardia Civil, and she is part of the criminal analysis behavior. And in his daily task, Andrés carries out different tasks such as interviewing vulnerable victims, the analysis of the reports, and many other things. This year, he has been one of the teachers in this pilot course for facilitators. And once we have all our participants around the table, both Laura and Inés are going to explain and show this course and the general data of this course. So you've got the floor. First of all, Laura. Good morning, everybody. The clicker for the presentation, have we got it? Yes, it is here. Good morning, everybody. The truth is, I'm really thankful for this invitation to come to today's meeting, because I'm very happy to see faces that I know from the course, collaborators and students, because that's what happens when you have this online training, because sometimes you feel you're very far. And the truth is that being able to meet you here is true satisfaction. Well, the truth is that this course we are showing and we're talking about today, it's actually a pilot course. Well, CEACOG supported UNED, the university, distance university. And this is not the first collaboration we have. We have collaborated in several courses as well and in other projects. And the truth is that we were very thankful to be included in this course and this project, which is so important. This course is part of our university, a distance university, and it's part of the ongoing training courses. So these are projects that universities have that's perfect for this kind of course, because on the one hand, it allows us to reskill those professionals who wish to undergo further training, in this case around the role of the facilitator, but this training also provides a certificate on the practice that professionals are carrying out already. So I believe that these are many of the cases of the 83 students we have had in this first course. They have been able to certify their training, the training of the experience they had and what they have been doing for years. Sorry. Well, this training wasn't easy, and we had to face several challenges. And amongst these challenges, well, there's an absence of a regulatory framework. So in Spanish legislation, we don't really include which are the skills and competencies that these professionals should have, and so which are the skills or which is the training that would make these skills available to our students. This meant that we had to create a new curriculum. In this case, Plan de Recuperación proposed a curricula design that was very extensive to be able to train these people. But this depth in content came hand in hand in this pilot course with the fact that we had a schedule or a calendar that was very tight, which was also a challenge when we had to design this training. It also meant that we had to tackle it. We needed a multidisciplinary approach. We thought that we could not tackle this training. We could not provide training for facilitators without having a multidisciplinary approach. And this has meant that we had to involve a great amount of people with different profiles, both from an academic and professional perspective. And another challenge, and this is the last challenge, but it was actually a very important challenge, because we didn't have a lot of time to prepare the course. I believe, the quality of the course has not suffered from it, but it has been a very important challenge for those of us who were involved in this training, and we had to work on it intensively. But I believe we have been able to create a good course. We had many challenges, so we tried to make a learning proposal adapted to distance training. And of course, our university has a very wide experience in this kind of training, and we tried to present all the content in a modular and sequential way. So we tried to avoid having just a bunch of content that made no sense for the persons who were having access to it. So we tried to make sure it was sequential, so students could understand this content, both given the content that was provided before the content and after that content. So students did not have all the content available to them, but it was actually modular, and the access of students was modular, and we did it intentionally. And this meant that we had multimodal resources. So in this case, we had to adapt, and we wanted to adapt ourselves to the different learning styles of our students, because the 83 students came from or had different professional profiles. And this also meant, and we thought this could mean that we could have different learning styles. So that also required this course to offer resources in different formats. We had texts, and we had multimodal videos, seminars, workshops, so a series of resources. And it also meant that we needed tools to assess that learning, which meant that in education this is really hard to do, which is continuous assessment. And we did it through different activities that they had to carry out, and they were trained on the different skills that they have to develop and prove in a final case. And they are starting to tackle it right now. And in this case, they will have to be able to prove the skills they have learned. And in this course, we had to offer different communication tools, interactive communication tools in those fora in which they were able to participate. We had the students and the different teachers, but they were also able to interact amongst them to create a learning community. We thought it was very interesting as well to be able to dynamize this fora, because as I mentioned, many of these students have experience, or professional experience. They have been carrying out their activities formally and informally for years. They've been developing this task, so it was very important for them to have a fora so they could share their experience. Given that there was a lot of content in a very reduced amount of time, the virtual environment had to be easy, and browsing everything had to be easy and with very structured content. We needed a clear calendar so they could self-regulate their own learning, which meant, as I mentioned, that we have five content blocks that were made available as the course went forward, and each of these modules needed to have a clear structure. Students had to offer content in a very orderly manner. We started with a video in which a professional introduced the topic and also the training tools. We wanted to make sure that this wasn't just a bank of resources, but we wanted these resources to have a meaning, and to do so, it was important to have a brief presentation of these resources so students were able to understand their importance within the module and their importance within the whole course and the link to the skills that a facilitator should have. Each topic, there was always a forum, so students could get in touch with each other and to talk to the students that were part of the course as well. Besides that, another challenge, what Plan de Inclusión and CEACOG propose is never easy, but that also means it's a challenge for our university. We have to adapt our platform to what's been demanded from us. And another difficulty, but I believe it's also one of the best things for this course, about this course for students, is that we also offer them the opportunity to get closer to professional environments, get close to legal environments and police environments as well. And they were also able to work with professionals who are carrying out their tasks in the CEACOG and Plan de Inclusión headquarters in different regions. This also allowed students to have that opportunity to get closer to these professional environments. And to do so, they had a tutor, a guide in those environments, and they were also monitored by one of the teachers in the course. And this is my last slide. This is a pilot course, but it's the starting point of something that we hope will continue. I hope you want to keep on counting on our university, because of course we have a started point, but there are many improvement opportunities, and we want students to share with us which are these improvement opportunities. Students will get a survey, and we will receive your feedback, and we will try to include them in the formal design of the course, which is what's closer to me, but also about the content of the course itself. Thank you very much. Ines, you've got the floor. Thank you. Can you hear me? I don't know if you can hear me. You can? Great. Thank you. I'm going to talk about the course, but I'm probably from a different perspective. Let's see if I can. As you can see, I am not able to use the clicker. I'm sorry. I'll start here. As Laura mentioned, we decided to work with the UNED, Distance University, because one of the requirements was to develop it in 11 autonomous regions here in Spain. So as much as possible, have a national program, and we also took into account the experience we had with a UNED and the ability they have to reach all of the national territory. Then Iris will tell us if we have been able to achieve everything we're mentioned here. And within CEACOG, we had 188 requests or applications, although initially we had planned 80 grants. We finally accepted 84 grants, although one of them had to, that wasn't able to go to the course, and we have had 83 students. They're coming from 14 autonomous regions. Today, we are still receiving applications for other editions, and we have around 40 already. As Laura mentioned, this was an important challenge because we, given all the things we had to do before the course, once we had everything for the course, well, we were in May already, almost June, and we had summer holidays right there. So we said, okay, we want to launch a course with 170 hours. We want to have a theoretical part and a practical part, and we want to have a very varied faculty, and we have to finish before December 31st. And I mean, it's going to be 170 hours. So I think this was a challenge. And we got to a point in which we weren't sure if we were going to be able to do it or not, but we were. And we started the course in October the 2nd, and we're finishing in December 22nd. As I mentioned, we have 170 teaching hours that include theoretical and practical content, because most of the theoretical content were actually applied theory. I will talk about the profile of our faculty, but we have had very few teachers from the academia, and many of them are professionals who work, who develop their professional careers in the aspects they were teaching. I believe we have made it, but it was also a challenge to be able to gather all these people who are going to be able to teach the course in such a short period of time. And we have also approached or carried out this. We have also carried this training in professional environments. And this year, CEACOG has had 11 regional centers in 11 regions. And the most practical side, which was actually going to different centers for the support of people with disabilities, we did this in each of these autonomous regions. Everything was coordinated by the CEACOG coordinator in those geographies, and my colleague Sonia Bermejo, who was the coordinator at the national level, and of course she had a lot of work. And students were part of the assets of the course. This was a pilot course. We knew lots of people were giving their support in legal processes, and we needed all the feedback that these students are going to be able to give us, both during the development of the course and also now when we're going to have to do the assessment. And it's been an important effort, but we know we have 83 people that have been trained all throughout the national territory, and they're going to have a single view of what a facilitator is and what a facilitator is expected to do. And so we understand that these students are now part of this movement that fights for the need of this professional role. And as I mentioned, we haven't got a single profile for facilitators. The only thing that Article 7 mentions is that they have to be an expert professional that carries out adjustment tasks in the understanding and communication. We believe this includes their interaction with their environment, and we also have an article from a royal decree that defines what a facilitator is, but it defines what a facilitator does in a very wide way, but that's all we had. So we also tested professional profiles within the course. We have had people who have very heterogeneous professional profiles, very heterogeneous knowledge as well. because the facilitator has to assess topics that have to do with communication and comprehension, but also with support needs linked to the social environment of these persons, their family environment. And so everything has to be part of that assessment. And we want each student to be able to contribute to the course as well. On the faculty, and well, the idea or the approach was that this is a distance training course, but we want to teach from practical experience. And what our faculty have done is to show what they do in their daily tasks. We have had 35 people with very different profiles, and we have had professionals coming from who work with people with disability. We have had lecturers from the university, of course. We have had lawyers, judges. We have had prosecutors, forensic psychologists, people who work in the police services, and in fact, Guardia Civil. 3 of the teachers come from, well, they are professionals from the Guardia Civil, from the police, and we have also had the participation of local police, especially in the teaching side. And I'm also going to mention now the collaboration we have had with other professionals. What were the contents? Well, we had a first block, which was the profile of our professional facilitators, taking a look at our legislation or the international systems, the international schemes, and we also devoted a part of it to the ethics of them, on which should be the basis of the ethical behavior, and also the support models based on human rights. Next, as it has been mentioned earlier, given that the facilitator is a professional who has to facilitate communication and understanding, we had to talk about efficient communication and the different tools that we have to be able to have this efficient communication, including easy learning, alternative communication methods. Another of the aspects is that it's also said by our legislation. The facilitator is a professional who works in the legal system, and so facilitators should have some knowledge about law, not because they're going to be lawyers or because they're going to be defending that person, but to be able to communicate with lawyers and judges. They're going to need to know how tribunals, how courts work, and they have to be able to translate part of the jargon. And so we have had some blocks that have been more theoretical on civil and criminal law, and that's been combined with sessions with lawyers who work in civil law, criminal law, and also lawyers that have talked about only the pre-trial phase. And we have had a blog that's been only interviews with professionals, interviews with people who work in the police, forensic psychologists, prosecutors, lawyers, and so on. And the last block, that's probably been the hardest one. The hardest one was actually the last one. It's the one that has been a challenge. We believe I'll ask Andres to talk about it, which was actually to determine which is the support that these persons might need, because it's linked to which kind of professional can provide it, which are the tools they can use, how much they can, or how in depth they can go. And there are even many questions still, such as the assessment, which is the kind of document included in that assessment. Is it an expert report, or what is it? And last, also the approach to the professional environment. They have been developing 15 headquarters. We have had the participation of 17 legal operators, and we have had judges, lawyers, prosecutors, forensic psychologists. We have also visited, and students have visited, 7 officers from the Guardia Civil, from the police, also 4 units of the National Police, and these visits we have had 18 different professionals, police professionals, and we have also visited 18 Plan de Inclusión entities, and we have had 18 professionals involved and 83 people with intellectual and developmental disabilities that have been involved in these interviews, because we have done it through interviews. And so this has been a course that has been, the planning has been very complex for this course.
And last but not least, we have on the 22nd of December, the course comes to an end, and then in 2024 we have to review the content, the whole methodology of the course, to assess the results, to ask for feedback through the forums that we have prepared for students, and we have also prepared a more thorough analysis of the content of the course with some students that are now working in the professional environment, and to decide what improvements we should make if we want to go on with this. And one of the difficulties, or one of the caveats that we had, is that we were focused on disabilities, but the CEACOG is an advisory entity, and we have to hence work on other tools to cater for the different and heterogeneous needs of the different groups of population. And that's all on my part. Thank you. So we continue. We have Greece, and then I'm taking some time for my colleagues, so I'm going to go directly to Iris. I'm going to ask Iris, on behalf of the rest of the students, I want to ask you, can you tell us what was your perception of the course? What's your opinion, your feedback on the course, taking into account what has been presented by the two managers, whether you have learned something that is going to be useful in practice, and then thirdly, what would you change, what would you improve? Because since we are on a pilot project, we would like to know what you would like to change, always from a constructive perspective. Please, Iris, so you have the floor. Okay, can you hear me? Okay, so first of all, I would like to thank you, because I'm very privileged to be here. I'm one of the people that were given a grant, and I am very lucky. I see many faces of teachers and professors and some colleagues as well at the back, but for me it is an honor to be able to be here speaking on behalf of the students. You have posed many challenges when you were explaining the whole initial setup, and I think that you were mentioning the fact that it was necessary to create a pilot that was really worth the name. And for us as students was not easy at all, but I guess that for you it wasn't either. There was some there was a supply or an offer in terms of the professors, of the contact with people with disabilities, that very few courses I think can provide with such a short notice and for such a heterogeneous population. So I think that you launched a very thorough and very well prepared pilot, and I think that those strengths are very good. And of course there are areas for improvement that I guess that will make the next generation come to something better, but experience is what gives us the knowledge to know how we have to make progress, and that's how things are done. I would like to go back to the word challenge, because it is not just in terms of the people that are involved in the project, but also as in general the institutions we work for, the people that are students, we ourselves as students. It is a challenge for all of us, and it is something that to some extent is just starting, and there are uncertainties and doubts. There may be a lot more criticism because they expect something that perhaps is not given, when we don't know exactly what is expected from us. It is still to be defined, and we have had to answer many questions among all of us. And so there are still a lot of questions to be answered, but my perception of the course is quite positive. You have spoken about 170 hours. Although I mixed it all up, I think this course should last a lot longer. If I could, I would like to have many more hours, but 170 hours for the amount of content and for the performance, for the professional performance of the role of procedural facilitators, I think that we would need more time. But as we get more funding and we explain and clarify better our role, I think that this will increase with time. But as procedural facilitators, I think that we need to show that it is a necessary role, that is part of the rights of the people and of the disabled people in particular, and that we need to bring this reality closer to the society. The reality of a disabled person can be the reality of any of us at any point in time. It seems that we are devoting resources or making adjustments or adaptations for very specific people, and that it entails a lot of work, but anyone can find themselves in such situations, and we all have a right to understand and to be understood in a court proceeding. And those are very important things, because they might end up with your freedom restricted. And when I start to think about it, it is surprising for me to see that we are in 2023 starting to open up that path. I think that we should have opened it up a lot long ago. But anyway, I don't want to take any more time, but I think that this course is going to facilitate our role as professionals. It is going to help us a lot. It is important to be independent and freelance. It is important to be able to work as a freelance, but when there are people that are thinking around the same topic, or that have debates or answer questions jointly, we start to set up or to paint or picture a whole structure that really comes to that is settles down really, and that really can end up giving a structure. And as Brian said Brendan said in the first presentation, that we should be not so demanding on ourselves. The environments that we are going to work on are not easy at all. We have to be more compassionate, and we are learning on the go. So having people, a group of professors and also a group of fellow students helps us gather strength and to believe in what we are doing and to continue fighting for our role, because many times we are going to be told that we are not necessary. If we are on our own, you come to a point where you will abandon. And I think that having a team behind you is essential, and that's one of the opportunities that this course offers, to be able to get to know other professionals and to get to know other operators, other stakeholders in the process, and that can to some extent help you and encourage you to continue working in this profession. And last but not least, what I would improve in the course, although I already pointed out some questions like the number of hours that I would extend. I think that more than an improvement, what I think it is needed is more resources in order to be able to amplify what has already been created. In some way, I cannot tell you the amount of material, of mandatory material and non-mandatory material that has been provided to us. Very interesting, very well organized, and that provided lots of information and data for food for thought, but in such a short time, such a compressed amount of time, it is not, you don't have time to think too much. So I think that I I'm missing some more times. Of course, I know that you've done what you could do, and you got to a point where you didn't know even whether you would be able to put it in place. More hours would be more resources, or the other way around, and that would allow us to delve much deeper into the different topics. This, of course, provides a solution to many people from different provincial areas. Many of the things are done in Madrid, are operated from Madrid. I'm lucky because I'm in Madrid, but where there are fewer resources or where they are farther from Madrid, sometimes you don't realize. Other cities, in comparison to Madrid, are very short of resources to be able to embrace this type of training sessions or encounters. So more time, more space to be able to settle down knowledge, to hold discussions with the professors, because I think it was perhaps too little time to. It was very enriching to be able to get to know people. I met people that I had never met and had never heard, and they were very, very enlightening, and they were very, really very nice to talk to, and very very good at explaining things, and I missed some more time to be able to get the most of those people. And also meeting other colleagues and with other operators and other stakeholders in the proceedings, I had the opportunity to meet other fellow students, and those are the people that really take back home in case I have a doubt or I need support, and those are the people that I will resort to. So having more time to be able to get to know each other, that's one of the things that I would emphasize a lot more. And that's all. I'm perhaps taking too much time. I will leave it at that, and thanks very much. Thank you. Okay, and last but not least, we have Andres. Andres, I guess, will tell us about his experience as a professor, but I would also like to ask you a question. I would like to know what's your experience as a professor in this course, what is positive about it for you, and I think that there was part of the work that was a collaborative process between or among different experts in different fields. What do you think about that collaborative type of work? Well, first I would like to thank CEACOG and UNED and Plan de Recuperación, the three of them, for choosing me as a professor, and also for allowing me to be speaking today to all of you on behalf of the professors. The experience has been very positive. It has been a privilege for me. It has been a gift. Whenever I take part in one of these courses, I always learn more than I really give. So I have learned a lot from the students and from the rest of the professors, but students are also professionals with different backgrounds, and multidisciplinarity always enriches any discussion. And for me, it was a very rich course, a lot of participation, a lot of interest, and very positive things came out of it. It, of course, was a challenge. The module where I took part, we needed a lot of coordination, and Sonia knows about it because we were bringing together Sonia, Eva, José Manuel Muñoz, and myself, 4 people, 4 stubborn people that each with their own ideas about things. And it is difficult, of course, to come to terms. We each have an idea of what a facilitator does, or we are all facilitators, but each one has its own idea. It is not a common idea coming from a regulatory structure, and we needed to make adjustments. We needed to get to an agreement in terms of what to measure, how to measure things, and we reached an agreement. And although it is a very brief agreement, which is imposed by the law, and that's Article 7 bis, is very important, although it is quite short. And then adaptations can be referred to communication, understanding, and interaction with the environment. That is the interview to determine the needs, and that's where we have to assess, understanding that the environment is social, emotional interaction, and that's what we have to assess, what the facilitator has to assess in order to propose adjustments and adaptations. It was a challenge because we had to define that at the same time as we were delivering the course. So it was a first proposal for a guide to detect needs. That's a first proposal, a first draft that will go through some modifications and amendment. It might end up being validated, but I think it was a good piece of work, but it is just the beginning, and I'm quite satisfied. We cannot ask for more. From a pilot course, we reach our goals, and now we have to continue working, perfecting things and improving. So that's all. Thanks. Anyone has a question for any of the members of this panel? Otherwise, we will switch to the next roundtable. Thank you to the four of you, and we are going to go on to the next roundtable.